Nice to see you. Today is May 27th. Can you believe that? Oh my goodness, time flies. Um, in Bakersfield here right now, it is 100 degrees outside Fahrenheit, and it's supposed to get up to about 106 today. So can you hear me okay? Can everybody hear me okay? And you can see me okay? Let me know. I'm trying some new things, and I'll explain them to you in a minute. Make sure you can hear me, though. So let's see, who is here? Let me see. Can you hear me? Okay, let's see who's on here. Okay, thank you, Evelyn. So we have Evelyn. Evelyn lives in Bakersfield, and she's an excellent knitter. She's just starting knitting garments, and she is very fastidious about her knitting. Diane Eddy, nice to see you here. She said it's stinking hot in Toronto. We've cooled off a bit to 30. May sound cold to you, but if your thermometer was here, it would read 86. 86. That's cool here. Cool. It cooled down last night to 73 degrees Fahrenheit. That was the cold overnight. Diana Danko, waiting on an overcast day, 75 degrees, but humid here in Westmoreland County, Pennsylvania. And Evelyn says, yes, it's going to be 105 in Bakersfield today. Rona Shane says, perfect weather in SoCal. If you're not in the Central Valley is really, really hot. L. Shadowins, hello Suzanne, and Lucy from Houston here. Thank you so much for this Q&A session. You're welcome. Shobha, good morning from India. It's hard staying awake waiting for the podcast. It's 2:30 a.m. and I'm going to talk about that in just a few minutes. Judy Joyce, it's hot. Helen Henry, I'm from Lancaster, California, where it's 94 in the shade. Yes. Francoise, she's from France now. It's almost 11 p.m., but during the day, the sun shone and we had 81 degrees Fahrenheit. That sounds lovely. Susan Day, good afternoon from Newcastle, Washington. Fatima, looks like summer here. Sylvia Earl from Cameron Park. Nada Hamid from Sultan of Oman. Elizabeth Nielsen from Sweden. E.T. Guerrero from Hawaii. Nice. Susan Day. Yes, Rona. Everybody got the sound. Thank you. Okay, so let me tell you. Do you notice that the background is different here? I am using some of my newfound tools, and this is a green screen. Right there, let me show you. There's my room behind it. See, that's what you usually see. So that's a green screen. And what I did was I took a picture of my books, which are over here, my bookcase, and that's what you're seeing back there. So now you get to actually look at my books, a few shelves of them. So I'll show you. Let me do it the other way. Down here, this shelf, these are, all of these right here are about stranded knitting and Fair Isle. And then all of these over here are on cables and Celtic knitting. Up on this row, these are all how-to knit, stitch dictionaries, finessing your knitting, stuff like that. Up here, these are all books on designing garments. And above that shelf, which you can't see, I have half a shelf on socks. The other half is on mittens and lace. And the shelf above that, I have double knitting and brioche and odds and ends. And a shelf down below that you can't see is just all history books about the history of knitting. So that's my library. It's pretty extensive. I don't have very many design books. I mean, about how to design, yes, but I don't have books that are just patterns. Unless the book has something in it. Sometimes pattern books will have really good information at the beginning that will tell you about a technique that maybe you haven't seen somewhere else, and then that becomes a reference book for me. So this is my reference library. And you'll see that most of the books in my library have tags sticking out the tops. And those are pages that I have saved for one reason or another that I want to come back to. Almost all of my books have things sticking out of the tops because I read my books. I read them. I don't just look for a pattern, but I actually read them. They're not bedtime reading. It's more research knitting. So when I'm researching a topic, I will look in as many of my books as I have that have that topic within them, and I will read it one book right after another on the same exact topic. And then I will try that technique. Or I try it first and then read. So this is my new setup, and I'm learning new skills all the time. So I hope you like it. Oh, and I cut my hair. If you haven't seen me for a while, I shaved my head 2 weeks ago because I'm going to let my gray hair grow out. See, I got some gray right here. I had no idea where the gray was because when I was letting my hair grow out, I just saw gray around the front, and so I kind of assumed that it was throughout my head, but it's not. It's just I've got a big patch here, a big patch here, and this one right smack in the front. And the rest of it, there's some salt and pepper look in there, and you can start seeing my red here. My hair is red, but it's darker than what I usually wear. So that's what's going on here. The things I wanted to talk to you about today, after, and I will answer questions. I have a whole list of questions people would like to know about, is I would like to possibly change the time of this. I know I've changed it before, and people don't, some people don't like the change. Some people really like the change. But the reason I chose this time to begin with is because my daughter used to work on Wednesday afternoons, and she got off at noon. And so this would give us a chance to have mother-daughter time while her kids were in school. And but she no longer has Wednesday afternoons off. Now she works. And of course the kids are out of school all the time right now, but they'll soon be back in next fall. So I don't really need to do it at 2 o'clock anymore. I could even do it as early as 10 o'clock in the morning, 9 o'clock in the morning, 10 o'clock, 11, 12, Pacific Standard Time. So I would like you, either in my Ravelry group or in the Facebook group, maybe we should start a poll and see what is the best time for the most people, because I realize that for some people it's terribly inconvenient to have to stay up really late at night if you want to participate in this live. Other people try to do it on their lunch hours. Some people, it interferes with their dinner hour. So I realize that, but let's kind of come to a consensus, and I'm willing to change the time. So let's think about that. The other thing I wanted to talk about is topics. What do we want to talk about? This is the Wednesday live stream. And we have up until now been doing tutorials, but there's no real tutorial going on right now, so we don't really have a topic to focus on. I was thinking that topics might help. So the topic I was thinking of starting with is I-cord, because it's a series of videos that I would like to make. Anyway, it's on my list, my to-do list. But like how to make an I-cord, a 2-stitch I-cord, what is I-cord versus a slip stitch edge. There's some little technicalities here that we could get into that's really cool. 1-stitch, 2-stitch, 3-stitch, 4-stitch, how big do you want your I-cord to be? And then how to apply an I-cord, how to use I-cord for joining fabrics, how to use I-cord for joining rows, how to use I-cord for joining stitches, how to use I-cord for joining stitches to rows, etc., etc., etc. So, and then I was thinking after that of maybe exploring tubular cast-ons and then tubular bind-offs. You know, there's quite a few ways to start a tubular cast-on. And sometimes people have just tried one, and the particular one they tried was really not fun for them, and so they've never gone back to it. They were not successful with it. Well, there's a bunch of different ways to start a tubular cast-on, and we could explore those until you find one that you like, and then that can be your go-to tubular cast-on. And we can do the same thing for the bind-off. And I can show you how to do a tubular cast-on for stockinette stitch, for knit 1 purl 1 ribbing, knit 2 purl 2 ribbing, etc. So I think that that would be fun after that, but you can submit ideas for topics too. I'd like it to be something that we can explore in depth. And maybe people can even, I can assign you homework or something. You can knit a swatch and try it out. Something like that. Who knows? It has to be something you enjoy doing and that I enjoy teaching, so that's a win-win for everybody. I'm willing to teach you anything that I know how to do, and if I don't know how to do it, I'll find out how to do it. So that's that. So think about those two things, the time that you would like to see this happen, and the other thing is the topic that you would, and it needs to be a topic we can do over several weeks, sort of thing, okay? So there were a bunch of questions on Ravelry. Let me pull that up. Let's see here. Let me open my browser. Ravelry. And then I'm going to show you how to use GoodReader too today, okay? There was some interest in that. So, going to the Ravelry questions where we left off. Let's see. Here. Question. I would like the information for Vera Sannon's linen yarn resource. She was willing to share in the interview, very much needed in this Florida climate. So I texted her just a little while ago, and she said that I buy the, she even, let's see. It's Etsy, on Etsy. Yarn Stories. Go to Yarn Stories. That's the supplier on Etsy. And see if that will help you find the linen yarn. That was Tide Frog 1 who asked that on Ravelry. Now here's another question. Cheryl Tisdale said, yes, the I-cord may be your favorite sock heel. I have a lot to talk about on sock heels. That might be really, really good because I personally, I like a heel flap, heel turn, and gussets. And we can talk about the pros and cons of that versus a short row heel and other types of heels. Excellent topic, Cheryl. Good suggestion. Thank you. So this is from a hat lover over on Ravelry. She says, question, if a cable pattern goes from 8 stitches per repeat to 20 stitches per repeat over 35 rows, basically a triangle shape on a top-down yoke sweater, so she's talking about making the yoke, so it'd start out small and the cables would get wider, where would she measure the gauge? I would measure the gauge over the widest portion. Now she says over the skinny part, the middle, and the widest portion, and average it, and you could do that too, but I think it would just be easier to measure it over the widest portion. I would knit a swatch in advance, of course, before you did it in the whole cable, and see how it lay. I would block it and everything and see how it lays and see if it meets your expectations of its dimensions. Okay, this is from Amethyst 10, knitting garter stripes. This is a good question. 2 rows each. I've been following your tutorial for carrying yarn up the side, but I'm about to add a 3rd color and don't know what to do to keep from having a 4-row loop at the edge. How do you carry 3 colors up the side at once? There will probably be a 4th added further on as well. This is a personal preference thing, and you're going to need to figure that out. For me, I would probably break the yarns if there's more than 4 rows before you're going to use that same color again. Beyond that, you're going to see a lot of yarns being carried up the side. Now, you can catch them every time, but you're still going to see them on the wrong side of the work. So that it's up to you. You can carry them up the side, but if you have 4 colors that you're using, 3 of them will be carried up the side. And you can, like I said, you can catch them. So when you come to the end of a wrong side row, beginning of a right side row, you're just going to bring the color that you're going to work with down and up with those others shooting off the side. That catches them, and then work your garter stitch over and back, and then with the working yarn again, you're going to bring it down and up behind those colors. That catches them again. Now, an alternative to doing that is you can catch it 1 stitch in, so you're not catching it right on the edge. So you would do the same sort of thing, but they possibly will show through to the front between the stitches. So this is something you'd have to work on a swatch and see, try a couple different methods and see what you like. I would not try it on your working piece. I'd do it on a swatch. Okay, Amethyst 19 has a second question. She says, doing a pattern that has a column of knits, knit through the back loop. So she's got some ribbing going on, and the knits are knit through the back loop and the purls are not. She finds that the purls to the right are enlarged, or just the expanse looks wider than the ones to the left of that column. How can this be fixed? It is just a single column of knit through the back loop with a single column of purls on either side. This is the same problem as an enlarged knit before a purl. I do have videos on that. Let me see. We're going to try something. I'm learning new things all the time, so let me just try something here and see, so we can let's see. Bear with me just for a second, okay? Let's put in tidy ribbing. We're going to search tidy ribbing. Shoot. I have to make that bigger. I have it real small. Okay. Tidy ribbing. Okay, let me see if I can share this. Okay. So here we have, you're seeing both my screens. We're going to skip the ad. So this is my video on tidy ribbing. And you can go to tips for tidy ribbing knit flat, and you can just go to this video and I show you why you get the enlarged knit before the purl and how to prevent it from happening. Okay, so that's that. So that was that question. That's a good question. And a lot of people have that problem. You can have that enlarged knit before the purl on the leftmost stitch of a cable, or just plain ribbing, or knit one through the back loop ribbing. And if you turn the work over to the wrong side, you'll actually see what was purls on the front. When you turn it over, is knits on the back, and all those knits will be enlarged. And the trick that I show you in that video decreases the size of those stitches and makes it tidy. So next page, thanks. One more question. This is a good one. Can you show us how to use GoodReader with pattern charts? Yes, and I'm going to do that right now. So this is my, and GoodReader costs $4.99 for your iPad or your iPhone. I don't know if they connect with each other, like because I only use it on my iPad. I don't use it on my phone. So I don't know if you download a pattern into the one on your iPad, if that pattern will show in your app on the phone. I'm not sure if it does that. Maybe somebody else will know. So let's take a look at this. This is my iPad, and I have it open to GoodReader. Now, I have a lot of stuff in GoodReader because I use it all the time. So let's go to Il Barato. That's my pattern that I'm working, that I'm working right now. And I don't know if can you see my pointer? I don't think you can't see my pointer. So this is my iPad. I can't use the pointer on it. And you do see Il Barato right there in the middle. That's the one I'm going to open up. I'm just putting my finger on it. So this is some of the charts. So the whole pattern, this pattern is like really extensive. It's a tutorial. Nathan does a great job on writing his patterns. And it's fun to read his writing. So when you get to the charts, he also has it written out row by row. Amazing. That's a lot of work. Okay, so here we are at a chart, okay? So if you take your finger and you just press down on the screen, some things pop up. Do you see those? So I like the one that is just a line. Can you see the one that's just a line there between the ABC and the arrow that's pointing to the right? So I click on that. Now, see my red line? I can adjust the length of the line by touching the end of it and dragging it out. So now I made the line longer. And I'm going to hit done. So I have this red line there. Now I can move this line up and down just by putting my finger on it and dragging it. And this is what I do. This is so unbelievably simple. So I just move it up as I do my rows. Now let's say that you want to make a notation to yourself that you made some change or something. So you push down on the screen again till these pop up, and you can pick the ABCs. That means you can type. So I'm going to pick the ABC, and I can type. So I'm going to say, I left off here. Save. Now, see the words right there? And again, you can move that around to wherever you want to put those words. You can also highlight. So push down on the screen again and see the marker over there. It's the second to the right on the bottom, the lower. That's a marker. I think. No, it's the eraser. See, it said eraser up at the top. We don't want to erase. We want to highlight. Okay, let's choose the ABC that's highlighted and see what happens. Okay, so it highlighted the 2 right here. We can expand that. I'm making it bigger, the area that I want to highlight. Do you see how it turned blue? Let's see. Now I touched it again. We've got the same things down the side of the screen. Up across the top of the screen, can you see across the top are all the different patterns that I have in here, so you can jump from one to another. Here's my cable pillow. Has to download it. No, we're not going to wait. Let's find. Let's see. Safe at home. This is the safe at home blanket. I'm very interested in knitting this. So same thing. Like let's say you find an error or something that you want to do different. You can do the same thing. You can put in your typing. You can type whatever you want. Error here. And you can move it. Okay? You could put in an arrow. See the arrow? So I could say, I want to flip that. Let's flip it. Error here. And it saves this without messing up your PDF. So it's literally writing on the PDF. And then if you did want to print it out, you can print this. So does anybody have any questions about GoodReader? It's super, super easy. And while I'm waiting, I'm going to run through here and see if there's any questions anyone has asked along the way or comments. If you want to make a question, use the word question in all caps, please. It's so fun to see everyone here. Oh, Patricia Thompson says, I have to give you credit for my foxtrot sweater turning out so wonderfully. No holes under the armholes, perfect neckband and cuffs. Thank you. That is very cool. Very cool. Oops, hold on. That's my son. I'll have to call him back. Let me send him a text real quick. Oh, sorry. Okay, let's see. Oh, Mary Inman says she's waiting on her Anzula yarn delivery from UPS right now. Isn't that cool? I can't wait till you get it. You're going to love it. Which one did you get? The chat is frozen. Is it frozen? So fun to see everybody. Deb Jewett says, you are brave. I let my hair grow out too. No more dyeing. It is freeing. Well, let me tell you, shaving your head is amazing. You can feel the air on your skin and take a shower and the water hitting your head. And when you get up in the morning, you don't have to do anything. You just get up. You know, I get up and I think, oh, I don't need to brush my hair. But every time I walk by the mirror, it is a little bit startling. And Deborah Cisneros says, why should I be surprised at my hair? Oh. I-cord would be awesome. Patty Shanks, I-cord, Pamela Matthews. Everybody's looking like I-cord might be a good one to start with. Now, hello, Teresa. Nice to see you on here. Mountain Mom Designs. That's Deborah. I learned lots of I-cord applications from Easy, Elizabeth Zimmerman, myself. I had to figure out the pickup ratio to use for a horizontal cast on. Exactly. That's the stuff we'll talk about, is the ratio, because it's different. Like when I was talking about using it to join stitches to rows, you have to know what your ratio is of the stitches to the rows, because you can't pick up one stitch for you can't join a stitch to a row, every stitch to every row, because one fabric will be puckered. So we will talk about that. Kathy Leonard says an hour earlier for Eastern Standard Time would be good. So Nada says the time is now 1:30 a.m. in Oman, and I have to wake up early at 6 to go to work, but I love to watch the live broadcast of your beautiful channel. So that's something to think about. You know, if I did it at, this is 2, if I did it at 10, that'd be 4 hours. That might be better for her, you know, and for a lot of people. Hi, Jackie. Comment from Fatima. Any and all topics that will present here will be perfect for me. One of my dilemmas is the color change in circular, mainly if the color change every row. That would be fun. So we could talk about the difference between helix knitting and without jogs. And then we can also talk about how to avoid jogs in color changes in circular knitting. That's a good topic. Okay. Everybody's, do you use the pro version? No, I do not use, do I use the pro version for the GoodReader? Nope, this is just it's either $4.99 or $5.99 version, because I don't really need to do anything fancy. I just want to keep my place in my knitting, and making the lines and the words is enough for me. Now, a lot of people really like, what's that other one? Knit Companion. And I've looked at it. I downloaded it when it first came out, and I looked at it, but the learning curve was too much for me. And maybe I could do it now. I could do it if I sat down and tried to learn it, but I don't need that much. I don't need to have a cursor that moves every row every time I finish a row. I'm able to keep pretty good idea of where I am in my work. So, and I'm not necessarily a row counter like my hat. I'm counting rows. You probably won't be able to see it. Oh, there it is. See my pins? I put a pin in the right side of the fabric every 10 rows. So that's what I do to count rows. So I'm not actually having to count rows. So I can count up to 10 real easy, you know, from the previous pin to the next pin. And I just put a pin, and that's how I count my rows in a lot of things. Something else that you can use for row counting are those little rubber bands for braces, or the itty bitty rubber bands for children's hair. You can just put them over a stitch, not on your needle. You're not putting it on your needle. You put it over the stitch, and then you can count your rows up from there. And if you need to mark a certain place, like the beginning of the underarm, you can just mark that stitch, and then later on you just cut them out. I use these coilless safety pins, same thing. I can just take them out later on. But I mark my stitches that way. And that's something I learned from Catherine Lowe, who I interviewed last week. Jolie says, seems like it might be worth buying an iPad to get GoodReader. I love my iPad. I consider it a knitting tool. Yep, I like it a lot. Luanda Hendricks asked, how long have you been, why? I don't know. How long have you been? And then she cut off there, so maybe she says more. GoodReader and show and tell. Pamela Matthews, looks like Sumatra PDF is alternative for GoodReader for non-iPad users. Excellent. Thank you, Pam, for pointing that out. So it's called Sumatra PDF for non-iPad users, and it probably does the same thing where you can just mark up a PDF. Basically, you're marking up a PDF, but what I like is that you can move the marks once you put them on here. You can move them. It's so easy. You just put your finger on it and move it around the screen. Very cool. So, squishy and create, so there's no, the screen didn't freeze good. Okay, Dolly says are there preferences between iPad mini and iPad 10? Just go look at them. The iPad mini is kind of like halfway between the iPad and a phone. So if you, now my phone, I don't get the super giant size, but I get a good size phone. So I don't really think the iPad mini is big enough to, so for me, I have a regular size iPad. This is my iPad right here. It's a regular size. And it depends on what you're going to carry it in. I put mine in my knitting bag, but if you carry a smaller purse and you want to put it in your purse, you need one that'll fit in your purse, etc., etc. And for GoodReader, I like the bigger one because, another thing you can do in GoodReader is you can enlarge the picture as big as you want. Isn't that cool? So let's go back to Il Barato. Where is it? Right here, where he's got all these charts, I can enlarge the chart. Some pages he has smaller charts. See, so I can make it really big. I like that. Okay. Nancy Porter says, I'd love to see an I-cord cast on that goes down both sides of a triangular shaped tip. Yes, and how to join it at the end. Yep. I would love to have a discussion about or to assess yarn qualities for different garments. That's a great discussion. Must admit that afternoons are better. Okay. I guess it's just different ideas. Okay, Diana Danko says, it really doesn't matter for me what time the live streams are. When you start at 2 p.m., that's 5 p.m. for me, and that's usually dinner time. I'll catch the replay if I miss the live session. Mountain Mom says, Meg Swanson shows several different jogless techniques in her video of the double massa hat, the shifting end of row. I haven't seen anywhere else. I'll have to take a look at that. I think I've seen that. I shift the end of my row too, but question from El Shadow, and this is Lucy. She says, could we start a thread in your Ravelry group called Suzanne Video Wishlist? Yes, you can, and anybody can start a thread in my Ravelry group, so you could do that. Fatima says, comment about time schedule. At this moment, it is 22:35 in Portugal, and it's perfect for me. Okay. Margit says, question, I would like you to talk about colors matching or also about what makes a sweater not only well done, but also modern and interesting. Does that make sense? Yes, and we can do that. We can do that. That would go along with choosing the right yarns and maybe even things that would look good on different body shapes too. Okay, Patty Shanks, question, does GoodReader link to Ravelry? Yes, you can download things directly from Ravelry into GoodReader. That's how I download my stuff into it. You can download anything into it. So when you download something, let's say, let me go to Ravelry. Okay, let me show you how to do this. Let's go to Ravelry. And let's find a pattern. That we like. Patterns. And let's look at the advanced. And I'm just going to say free because I'm going to download something. Availability free. So let's just pick one of these free patterns. Something that I like. Katie's Kep. That's cute. Let's do that one. And this pattern's available for free, but it's at a different website. But let's see, it works the same way. Download Katie Kept knitting pattern. There's the pattern. So now up here at the very tip top of my iPad, do you see the box with the arrow going up? That means I want to download this pattern. So I'm going to hit that. And it's going to give me some options. And one of the options will be GoodReader. Right there. So I'm going to copy it to GoodReader. Now it's in GoodReader. Just like that. And you can do that from any source, any download. The iPad is what does it. It's not GoodReader. It's iPad puts it into GoodReader. You could have also just as easily, we could put it into a Dropbox, a Pocket, copy to GoodReader, copy to Books, copy to Google Drive. I could send it to any of these people up here as a text message, or I can send it as an email. I can just copy it as a document, etc., etc. That's the iPad that does that. Okay, let's close that. Let's see if there's some more questions here. That's a cute hat, isn't it? Okay. Yes. Luana Hendricks, sorry, I'm giving up. Can't type in this truck. Question about GoodReader. How long have you been using it? I've been using it for quite a few years, probably since at least maybe 8 or 10 years when it first came out. I love it. And it totally took away my desire to try to learn Knit Companion because the GoodReader is just so easy, no learning curve. Jean, garter stitch in the round is challenging. Let me put these questions over here. I should be doing that all along. Garter stitch in the round is challenging. Different solutions on YouTube. Would like to learn more. Yes, garter stitch, especially if you're changing colors in garter stitch in the round, or even like doing, in addition to garter stitch in the round, what about Latvian braids in the round? You've got that jogless jog there too. I mean, you can create one now. It doesn't come out perfect, but it looks pretty darn good. Jolise, I can't really recommend which iPad for you to buy, but you know, $459 looks like a good price for me, but I haven't compared the prices lately. How do you use GoodReader with a paper pattern that I don't have on my computer? You can scan the paper pattern into your computer and then download it into GoodReader. Most current copy machines or printers also copy and scan. So just check out your printer. My printer has a scan function, and my printer is like 10 years old, so I'm surprised it's lasted that long, to tell you the truth. They're pieces of junk. Oh, Mountain Mon says, pick one of mine. They're all free right now. Deborah Cisneros comment, I'm good with whatever time and subject matter that's decided on. I learned so much on your podcast. And the jail, thank you. I appreciate that. It makes me feel good. JL Morgan, question, how do you get a paper pad? Oh, I answered that already. Okay. So, that's the plan. The plan is, let me go back to me. The plan is to pick a new time, you know, a little bit earlier in the day for the European people so they don't have to stay up so late at night, especially people that work. And I'd like to have as many people be able to access this live as possible because it's a lot more fun when you get it on live. Speaking of that, you know, this is my Suzanne Off the Cuff channel that I put this on. And right now I have about 2,600 subscribers, which seems like a really small number, but I just started this channel recently, so that's to be expected, and it will grow faster. My other channel, I have about 64,000 subscribers to that channel. So if you could help me spread the word about this particular channel so I can get some more subscribers here. And I think that the interviewees that I have on the weekends are worth their weight in gold. This weekend, I'm going to have a lady named Krista Newhouse, and you may have never heard of her, but you are going to enjoy her. She is a totally amazing woman, and her love is brioche and double knitting. and I think that you'll really, really enjoy seeing her. The week after that, I'm going to have Marie Buskey, from Skeins, and I'm going to see if she'll take us through the mill and show us how they process the yarn and all their different yarns and stuff, so we can learn more about yarn. And then I've got a couple more people that I'm working on lining up after that. If you have any ideas for people that you'd like me to interview, you can post them on Ravelry in my group or on Facebook in my group. I'm not really looking for top of the line name brand people. I won't name names, but I'm looking for, I'm trying to get Anna Zilberg too, so I just have to wait on getting a reply from her. I'm looking for people who are gems in the knitting world that you don't ordinarily see or don't ordinarily get a lot of face time. So getting people that would be an enlightening experience, maybe somebody you haven't seen before. I have a couple comments and people that I'm contacting to see if they're willing. So far, I've only had one person who wasn't interested. It's because she's super camera shy. Not that she wouldn't do it, but it made her feel uncomfortable to be on camera. So anyway, that's about it for today. So next week we'll start a topic. I think it's going to be I-cord. In the meantime, I want you to share this video after it gets on YouTube, after it's done uploading, with your friends. Help me share, help me get some new people, help me expand my audience, because that's the goal for me, and it benefits everybody else too. So that's all I have to say today. Give me a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I think all of you are subscribers. And we'll see you here on this Saturday at the same time to see Krista Newhouse. Okay? So have a good day. Happy knitting. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.